Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Something to Do with Pete and Will. We promise it's something to do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's Something to Do. We promise it's something to do. Yeah. Today I have a friend of mine, Steve Ball, that's going to discuss some really interesting things about his life and stuff that he's gone through that are amazing. And I thank you for your service as a firefighter that came down to help at 9/11. That's a very big deal, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Like I always told everybody, it was kind of a pleasure because I enjoyed my job so much.
Mm-hmm.
There was aspects I didn't like, but I'll tell you what, on the whole, it couldn't have been any better.
Yeah. And so let's just jump right into it. So how did all that happen?
You mean how did I start with the fire department, or how did I end up at 9/11, or what do you want to know?
Well, the fire department. Yeah, you decide where to start.
Well, I was one of those kids. I grew up in Las Vegas, and I was born in Las Vegas, actually. And I was one of those kids growing up that I didn't want to be a firefighter, and I didn't want to be a police officer, and I didn't want to be, public servant. And I wanted to be, actually, believe it or not, I wanted to be an oceanographer, because this is back when Jacques Cousteau was still around, and it just seemed like a cool thing to do, and so that's what I initially was going to college for. Well, I went on a scholarship to Washington State for football and baseball, and in the process, my mom had married my stepdad. He was a firefighter with City of Portland, and man, the more I got to know him and the more I got to see how that worked and everything, I was like, you know what, that sounds like a pretty cool thing. Maybe I want to do that. I ended up getting my 2-year associate's degree at Washington State in fire science. And, it's kind of still the thought that I might still go into oceanography. So I continued my biology studies and got my degree in biology. Well, after I graduated, I started applying to fire departments, and as anybody knows that's done it, you apply to, as many are taking applications as there is. And I probably applied to, say, 50 or 60 in the next few months. Sorry about the light. And I thought when I left Vegas that I wasn't going to have to go back to Vegas. Well, the first department that hired me was Clark County, and that is the strip side of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, here we go. You can't tell them no. You don't want to tell them no, because you tell them no, you might not get the opportunity again. So I didn't tell them no. Well, it was a good job for me because I was rough and tough, and I had an ego going in, so the ego helped.
Of course, yeah.
And and everybody that's a firefighter, they tell you don't have an ego. They're lying, especially in Las Vegas because it's such a big deal, And anyway, I did everything I could do. It started out as pay raise type stuff. I went through paramedic school. They paid for me to go to paramedic school. They paid for me to do all that. So I did it, and I ended up on a ladder truck, and it was such a cool thing. I mean, the ladder, the truckies, we call them truckies, or we'll call it truckies. It's a cool thing because they're the ones that go do the initial searches. They're the ones that go do, ventilation, cut all the holes in the roof, cut the sides of buildings out, stuff like that. The best part is it's rare we have to touch a hose line. And so, we'll have hose lines in behind us and stuff coming in as we're going in and doing, initial search of a building or something like that. But it's rare we have to put our hands on a hose line. So in that aspect, it's pretty cool because when we're done with our job, they send us off because there's only so many ladder trucks in the city. They need to have them available. So, that adds to your ego.
Yeah.
We're going home and everybody else is cleaning up, But anyway, it's along the lines of doing everything I could possibly do. I went to paramedic school. I also went to a combat training school with the pararescue teams, which are from the Air Force. And what the pararescue teams do is they're the ones that go, if the SEALs get in trouble or the Rangers get in trouble, it's the pararescue teams go pick them up. So these guys are highly trained in medical. Well, I did it because there was a lot of things I could do that a regular paramedic could not. And I could do it without a physician advisor, which was a big deal. So that qualified me for a whole lot of stuff. Well, anyway, I started getting on all these teams. And one of the teams I got into was a rescue and recovery team. And we did things like we got dispatched out to do, say, the earthquake in Mexico City. We did rescue and recovery there. I mean, a lot of the
That's
hurricanes.
A big deal.
Yeah,
what
it's a big deal.
So they
Mexico
fly you
City,
in there, and then
they dispatch you out. It's kind of like it's almost like a special forces. They dispatch you out, and then they'll go pick up everybody throughout. Most of the guys with our team were from the West Coast. There were 17 of us total.
Yeah.
And so, they'd fly in and you worked however long they needed you. And, then it was rescue and recovery. The unfortunate part to that is most of it's recovery.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, long story short, 9/11 happened. And I was just coming on to shift because it was 6 something in the morning here. And I was just coming on to shift when it happened. And the first plane was kind of everybody trying to figure themselves out. The second plane is when they shut us down and started doing city all calls because we had Hoover Dam. That was a big concern. If anybody was going to do any kind of a terrorist act, Hoover Dam would be one of you want to take out because it serviced most of California with their power. So they put us on a pretty much citywide lockdown, started calling in extra shifts. The guys were off, they were calling them in. It was called an all city all call. And we kind of started getting ready. There was 3 of us with Clark County that were on this particular team, and we were getting ready because we were pretty sure we were going to be dispatched out with the amount of disaster that was happening. We were pretty sure. So anyway, within 12 hours, we were in the air. And at that time, we were the only aircraft flying in United States airspace. And it was about 3:00 in the morning. And we got over Chicago airspace, and this is when it got really real, is when we had fighter jets come up on both sides of our wings, 3 of them on each side. Of course, the captain came across and said, "Yeah, guys, don't be alarmed. That's our escort into New York." They're still not really sure what else is going on. So that's when you really start figuring out, this is a big deal.
So describe that. So they're...
Well, they kind of, we had one fly up, of course I can only see out one side. We had one fly up first. He kind of just was right parallel with our wing. And then there was 2 more that kind of came out, kind of sat a little bit, the next one sat a little bit lower than the first one. And the third one sat a little lower than the second one. And it was kind of like, oh shit, are we going to get shot out of the air? You're hoping that whole time you're thinking, God, I hope the hell they know that, we're supposed to be here. Well, turns out they did, and that's the reason they were up there.
You're waving at them, like, "Hey,
pretty much.
We're good. We're trying to help."
Yeah, and that's what it was too. It was crazy. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to think.
Sure.
Hang on just a second. I got somebody. I gotta shut somebody off real quick. They keep texting me, and I'm going to shut them down.
Well, we've all had those situations where somebody keeps texting you, and you're like,
oh my God, yeah,
this has to end.
Yeah, it's been going on all day and all night, and I was hoping it was a woman, but it's not.
Yeah, it never is.
It never is.
It's
some son of a bitch you just don't want to talk to, but they're persistent.
Exactly. It's your buddy Paul, and you're like, dude, shut up.
Get the out of here, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the middle of something.
Not Paul, but it's close.
Yeah. All right,
they bring us in. Of course, when we start coming in, it's getting daylight now. When we're first coming in, you can see that all the smoke and all the dust and everything is still blowing. We flew over the site, did kind of a loop over the site just so we could see where we're getting, where we were heading and getting into. And it was just like, it was so surreal. It looked like a bomb had gone through, which it did, but it looked like a bomb. They dropped bombs on that particular part of the city. And the whole city was just covered in dust and smoke, and you were like, what are we getting into here?
Yeah.
So we got off the aircraft at LaGuardia, and what was left of city of New York's commissioners and fire department, which wasn't a lot because there was a lot of them that were sitting in the command post. I believe it was in Tower 2 when it collapsed. So most of them are already gone. So we're talking with a skeleton crew, and FDNY is a big, it's a big entity. And so what was left was sitting there, and they started to explain to us, here's what we got, man. We don't really know what we got, but here's what we have as far as an assessment point. We need you guys on the pile. We need you looking for, and there's also the FAA is here, and ATF is who we work directly with. And they said basically what we're looking for is anybody to save and any kind of evidence. And evidence was anything that didn't look like it was part of a building. That's what it turned out to be. I mean, pieces of paper, whatever. I mean, it was so weird. And getting onto the pile itself was work. I mean, cranes brought us up. A track co brought us up to a certain point, or out of their bucket, and we got out of their bucket, and then a crane brought us up to the top. And just moving around was difficult. Was very difficult because you had a lot of rebar that was up. You had a lot of to walk around on concrete that's broken and everything's unstable. And the real unstable areas, they had kind of cordoned off as much as possible. They actually lost a couple of guys that had fallen through, and that's how they knew that it was unstable.
And how did you? So you had mentioned there were 17 of you, and only 3 of you.
Yeah.
Walked
well,
away.
only 3 of us were from Clark County.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, but there were 17 of us total: Phoenix, Salt Lake, Denver, LA, and Seattle. Was where everybody was from.
So you lost 14 of that team.
So far, 14 of them have passed. Yes, directly from. Well, in their case, it was directly from that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It was bad. It was bad. God dang it. Hang on just a second. I'm so sorry.
No, you're okay.
This guy's a retard.
You're okay. I might cut that.
You know what? And I'm sorry. That's definitely politically incorrect.
Antoine, cut that out.
yeah. Let's get rid of that one.
That's
God, I'm afraid that'd be a lawsuit in itself.
That's my producer. I told him to cut it. Cut that out.
That's why you edit that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Some people get a little sensitive about this. I'm moving over to the other side again. These guys keep on trying to figure out what I'm doing. They don't realize that part of the trees that they're hauling out of this yard are my parents.
Yeah. Like, I own some of this stuff.
Yeah, anybody that knows me knows I don't do a whole lot of anything these days, as far as work goes.
Well, again, the what you did and what you're willing to do, I thank you so much for your service. That's such a big deal to have been there in that moment.
You know what our whole thought was, Peter? And it was collectively, because we were talking about it while we were there, actually. Our whole thought was, we got a whole bunch of brothers down here somewhere. We really need to find them.
And we need to find them and help them. Yeah.
And, we were all carrying infrared. We had the latest in technology that we could possibly have. It was funny. There was a company from Sweden that was actually there, and that's who provided all the infrared. And that's who was providing all the cameras and stuff that we were using trying to look in this pile for these people. And as it turned out, we never found a whole body. Found a lot of pieces.
Really? Sure. Oh, gosh.
When we found stuff that looked like it was evidence, what we did is we just kind of corded the area off and said, we found something that was viable. Whenever we found something biological meaning pieces of people, we did the same thing. We corded off the area and then notified that we were that it was biological and we needed a medical team over so they could examine it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's the unfortunate thing is, I just found some of this out. Nassau County medical examiners is where most of the stuff was going. And from what I understand, they still have body parts that they're trying to identify.
Yeah.
And you think over 20 years, I mean, that is such a that's just such a.
So how do you feel like emotionally? Like what obviously it's such a massive traumatic event to have happened.
Absolutely.
And for you to be right in the midst of it, how do you deal with that?
You know, it's lately I don't. Lately, since my diagnosis, and we'll get into that here soon. Lately, I'm not dealing with it as well as I should.
Well, that's all of us. There's stuff that we're dealing with, but you're dealing with something pretty big. I mean, do you have PTSD and all that stuff?
Actually, I don't have PTSD. I never thought about. I had a friend of mine just get in and say, "What the fuck are you doing here?" That's what.
You just got in your car?
Yeah. He drove up. It's one of the guys. It's one of the guys that's with the big Christmas tree company I was talking about. He was sitting there looking at me and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? You keep driving around."
Well, he just ruined this moment. We were about to have a very powerful moment.
But anyway, lately I'm not dealing with it that great because it got a lot more real when I got diagnosed. I mean, it got a lot more real. I was always noticing the fact that everybody was, all right, we're all good now. He's going to go tell everybody I belong here. When the guys were passing, the first one passed about 5 years after, or 4 years after, somewhere in there. And the last one passed about 2 months ago.
And what's your diagnosis?
I've got soft cell sarcoma. There's two kinds of sarcoma. There's one that's kind of an idle that doesn't go by classes, or it doesn't go in stages. You've either got inactive or you've got aggressive. And inactive means you've got the main tumor, the mothership, sitting in your body, and it isn't sending satellites out yet. And aggressive means you got the main tumor sitting in your body, and she's having babies, basically is what it means. So I've got aggressive. I got diagnosed in March.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And
my main tumor is about the size of a medium-sized grapefruit, and it's sitting right behind my stomach. I have 500-ish, over 500 satellite tumors that are spread everywhere except my head and below my elbows and below my knees. So basically the trunk of your body. I have 500 plus satellite tumors just sitting there inactive. Fortunately, they're inactive now because they were active. I was doing a lot of treatment. I was doing a chemo trial in Houston. About the last 4 months or so, I'd go once a month, and they would blast me with 7 kinds of chemotherapy, with Keytruda being the main one. Keytruda is used for lung cancer, and it's a prolong of life. They're just trying to give you a little more time. Well, since I got since I got a little more than lung cancer, with a mortality rate of 100%, they're just trying to give me some more time. But in the process, the first 4 times weren't that bad. This last time, they blasted me.
Oh, brother, I'm so sorry.
So it took all the cilia, which is the little hairy fibers that are inside of your lungs. Those are your filters, your lung filters. Well, this last shot burned all that out, and it regenerates, but it's not going to regenerate in time. So from here on out, I don't have any lung filters, so my breathing is difficult. If you can't breathe, you really can't do a lot. My energy level has gone down. My my ability to do a lot of things is really, really diminished, and I'm 6'3", about 250. And I used to be really strong. And the reality is these days I'm pretty weak.
Yeah.
That in itself is hard to take.
Yeah. Do you think some of that's from the service?
No, I think it's from the cancer. I know I've got really bad arthritis.
Do you think the cancer came from the being in situations where you were breathing in things that?
Oh gosh, yeah, because sarcoma is 100% chemically induced. It's the only cancer that they know directly where it comes from. And it's from chemical exposure. But yeah, I was named in a lawsuit. It was City of New York and FAA were the two top. There was several different entities that paid in this lawsuit, but I was part of that lawsuit, named in that lawsuit. Well, before I got diagnosed, the attorneys have been calling me for 15 years, saying, you need to be part of this lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. Well, I figured it was one of those things on TV where if you've been exposed to these things, call us and we're going to add you if need be or whatever. And, you might get a piece of it. Well, I was told these attorneys, I said, you know what? Don't call me. Yeah, exactly. A scam. Don't call me. I said, call the families in New York that need the money. Yeah. Call the families that lost all the men in their family, or don't call me. I don't have time for you.
Well, you're one of those people. You shouldn't take that from yourself.
Well, after I got diagnosed, I called my attorney and I said, so I'm getting a lot of phone calls now, and how the hell they know my diagnosis? I don't know. She said, well, let me find out what's going on. So she called, and she called me back like 10 minutes later, and she goes, well, here's the deal. She goes, you're named on the lawsuit. You don't have to call and put your name on the lawsuit. You're named on the lawsuit. The reason they were informed, were informed of your diagnosis, they've been watching your progress for the last 15 years. She said, there's 112 of you on this lawsuit, and you were named on the lawsuit from the time it was formed. She said, that's your money.
Oh, good.
She said, you need to take that money.
How did that end up working itself out?
Well, she said, you need to take this money because this money is yours. She said, what you do after you take it is irrelevant. She said, but you need to take it. Otherwise it's just going to go. It's just not going to go anywhere because it's yours.
Yeah. It's going to sit there. Yeah.
Forever. So anyway, I took it and I was thinking, I'm doing good. My retirement's fantastic. I mean, everything's great. I've got a huge life insurance policy for my daughter. So, the Fallen Firefighters Fund is the one that's suffering the most that I know of. And it pays, it falls into place if a lot of firefighters in their first couple of years don't have their life insurance in place. And a lot of them, unfortunately, lose their lives. Well, now you got a family that doesn't have life insurance. They don't know what to do. This Fallen Firefighter Fund will come in. If they're part of the IAFF, International Association of Firefighters, Fallen Firefighter Fund will come into those families and they will pay for everything and then give them money to live their life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So half of my lawsuit went to them.
That's amazing.
Out of the other half, a quarter of it is going to my daughter. My daughter's going to have more money than she knows what to do with. My life insurance policy alone is $5 million. And this is more than that. Her quarter of that is more than that. So my daughter's going to be set for life. Fortunately, my daughter's picked up my work ethic, and she loves to work. So,
would you like to sponsor this show?
I would.
We have no sponsors.
I would.
Just kidding.
I would.
They'll come at the end.
Wait till the end. Let's talk after we're off of this. Yeah, let me just give you all my information here. I'll give you my bank account. And,
exactly.
Sorry,
I add a little bit of levity when it gets when we both are about to cry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to change the subject. Believe me. Then the other quarter is I've put it in a slush fund, and I have found some people through different social media. I've run into people throughout my time so far. The funny one was I used to work in safety and security for the oil industry. So from May until October, I'd go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is not a destination place. If you don't need to go, don't go. I work for me until the end of October in
However,
Tulsa.
those from Tulsa, we really do enjoy your viewership.
Well, the thing is, everybody in Tulsa knows I love them. I love them to death. But anyway, when I quit, resigned this year, I resigned at the beginning of October.
Mm-hmm.
And when I resigned, this is going to sound big-headed, but I'm going to say it anyway. They liked me so much that he actually paid me through the rest of the year instead of until the end of October.
Yeah.
So it was $61,000 or something like that was the remainder of the year. And
yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, and there was a lady that I was talking to, not talking to as a personal level, but that I'd heard about that I was kind of watching. It was a gal that had 4 children.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband had just gotten killed in a car accident.
Oh, jeez.
I did a lot of research on her before I even acted, and no drug abuse, no nothing. Just, I mean, it's just one of those unfortunate situations. They were probably at the time living over their means, and when Dad got killed, they lost everything.
Oh, jeez.
And I thought, you know what? If anybody needs this money, it's her. So I called her, and actually, I sent her the impersonal message. I'm sure we all know what that is. I sent her the impersonal message, and I said, really, you don't know me for Adam, but you know what I'm about. I said, I need you to go to your bank, and I need you to call my phone. And all I got was a Y, and I said, if you need to check out some of my references, and I gave her a bunch of references of friends and stuff like that, I said, call them. But get to the bank, because I'm heading to mine. Well, when I got to my bank, she called me. And she goes, I hope you're for real. Whatever we're doing, I hope you're for real, because I'm putting all my faith in you. I said, well, I'm walking in right now. And I walked in, I went to the branch manager. I sat down in front of him, and I'd already called him and told him what I was doing. So he got on the phone, and he said, look, he says, I need you to go to new accounts, or I need you to go to a branch manager and put him on the phone. And they put him on the phone, and I took the check, and I signed the check over to the bank, and the bank transferred the money into her bank account. And I got back on the phone. I said, the transfer has been made. I don't know. And it was still the gal from new accounts, I believe. And she goes, that's unbelievable. I said, no, it's not. It just happened.
Yeah.
She goes, you know how much this lady's suffering? And I said, no, I don't. She goes, well, she's got $450 in late fees from overdrafts. She goes, we're going to waive all that.
Oh, good. Jeez.
And I said, I don't think you need to do that. The amount I just sent her was enough. She goes, I realize that, but she goes, all of us in the bank have just seen something happen that we never thought we'd ever see happen in our lifetimes. So they waived her fees.
Yeah.
So I walked out of the bank, fortunately better than I am right now.
You're making
and I walked out of the bank, and she called me, and she goes, what is wrong with you?
She said, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, she goes, what's wrong with you? Yeah, that was her
initial
response. I've since talked to her about it. She goes, I was lack of words. And I said, you know what the funny thing is, when she asked me that, I said, I don't know, call my therapist. And in fact, you might need to call my therapist's therapist, because I'm so messed up. My therapist needs a therapist. And she started laughing, and she said, my God, where and I said, you know me somewhat. You've heard some of my story, and you're exactly what I was looking for, or a piece of it.
Well, and I think
the other quarter of that money, that's where it's going.
Yeah, and I think given, if you have been given, give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pay
and
forward.
So I do the same. I mean, I'm not going to. Obviously, you've given way more. I won't even compare myself to you, but
I'm about 470,000 in right now.
Yeah, you give.
I do. I give where they deserve it.
Yeah, that's the thing. So even on, like, if I'm on the app that you and I met on,
yeah,
and once they become sponsors, I'll mention it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I give.
I do
like
too.
If somebody needs something, I'll give it to them. And it's funny, my co-host Will, he always gave me shit about it. He's like, "What are you doing?" My wife would kill me if if I was giving these people. I
Yeah.
said, well, no, but that's what you do. I mean, you tithe and you give to charity and you give to
Mhm.
things. But when you know where it's going, it's
That's the
so
whole
much
point right there.
better.
That is the whole point. That's
I
why
want to know the person that's getting it, and I'm sending it directly to them.
that's it. That's
Yeah,
exactly it.
that's how I feel about it. But
That's exactly it, man. And that's
I
why
mean,
the Fallen Firefighter Funds was my first thought, because I knew where it was
yeah,
going. In fact, I knew who was going to receive the check.
exactly. Yeah, that's.
A lot
I
to be
mean,
said for that.
yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, you're doing amazing things, man.
You know, and I've got a couple of people that are helping me. Um, that the ironic part
Hmm.
is I asked them to help me before I found out how much they were in need.
Uh huh.
And I'm putting them. They're very soon, actually. It's two women, ironically. But they're going to become my caretakers. They're going to be listed as a caretaker. They're not going to be an employee. They're going to be a caretaker. And by being able to do that, I can give them $100,000 a year
Hmm.
as a gift
Yeah.
on top of whatever I want to give them as being a caretaker. So since that comes in as,
Do you need a third caretaker?
I actually do. It's my third caretaker is actually my doctor.
Oh,
Now here's a fun
shoot.
fact. Here's a
I'm not a
fact that
doctor.
most guys never get.
Uh,
The doctor that's coming in is an ex-girlfriend.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's a cardiac thoracic surgeon, and most of her surgeries are transplants that come from cancer patients.
Well, that's a good
So when I got my
caretaker to have.
diagnosis, she was my first phone call, and her next phone call was to MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, which is the best cancer center in the world. And she said, I'm giving him his referral to get in, because you have to have a referral to get in there.
Yeah.
And she said, whatever money he doesn't have, which she didn't realize how much money I did have. So whatever money he needs on top of his insurance, I'll pay.
Oh, geez, that's amazing.
Now listen to this.
That's so sweet.
We separated because she was going to Boston. She had fellowshipped at Harvard, and Harvard had asked her back as a whatever. Well, when she moved to Boston,
Yeah.
I was still with Vegas Fire, and she said, I know I hate to ask you this, and I know pretty much already know your answer, but will you move with me? I said, I can't. I said, I've worked this hard to get where I'm at, and I'm not quitting now, because I was only a couple of years from retirement. She said, that's the answer I thought you were going to give. She goes, man, I'm going to miss you.
Yeah.
Said, me too.
Those are tough.
Yep. So she
In
moved to
life.
Boston. She moved to Boston, married a guy that wasn't even close to what I am.
Well, yeah. In life,
so many different ways.
you look back and you look at those kind of situations, and you can't dwell on them.
I don't regret any of it. I don't regret any of it. And you know what? You know why? I regret it even less now, because she's involved with me. Because when I called her and told her what was going on, she goes, I will be there for you till the end. I've already told my husband.
Oh, good.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what you want to interject. If you want to really fight me on this, then you can fight it by yourself. She goes, I'm going to go help him until the end. Because I know that's what he'd do for me.
Oh, that's great.
So anyway,
that's being a good man.
Yeah, yeah. I got video I want you to watch. I'm not going to give you the link.
Not being
it's
a good man
video.
in that moment. She's a wonderful woman.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
I mean, very wonderful man.
I've asked her since to do something that is very, very, very personal. I asked her if she'd have the end of life, if she'd take over end of life for me.
What's your decision on that? I don't even.
You know what end of life is?
Yeah, of course.
It's Kevorkian.
Yeah.
I And I actually told her, it's up to you. If it looks like I have no quality of life left,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody else says. Take care of it. I've since talked to my daughter. I've talked to my mother and told them that's what it is. Don't fight her on it, because if anybody knows anything about it, it's her. And so she can deem it at the right time, and don't fight her on it.
Yeah.
And they agreed. So
and did you have to sign off? Like what do you actually have to do? Do you have to sign a document or?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's a whole lot of crap I had to go through, and the it's even better.
I'm totally ignorant of all of that. I have no idea.
Well, of course I had to bring my attorney into play.
Uh-huh.
And here's the best part: my attorney's an ex-girlfriend too.
You got around.
I'm telling you, man.
It's these goatees, man. Everybody likes the goatees.
You gotta have a fat face and a bald head and a goatee, and they think, wow, I'd like to sit on that head.
Antoine, don't take that out.
That gal, when she asked me that day, what's wrong with you? I don't think she expected me to get the answer she got, because I got a whole lot wrong with me. But yeah, I dated her. She's a typical attorney. She's
sure
absolutely freaking gorgeous. She's Sicilian, so those two right there means she's probably half bitch mode. She's the youngest of 12. She worked her way as a model through NYU law school. She's a bitch, but I love her to death. We didn't get along very well as partners, because we only knew how to do two things, and they both start with F.
I got nothing to say about that.
Yeah, so
it's your story.
When it came time to be my attorney, she goes, I might as well take you on professionally, because personally, it'll never go anywhere. So anyway, just putting those two together, the surgeon and the attorney, knowing both that are exes, I haven't heard anything about that yet, but I'm sure I will. But anyway, I had to get Catherine involved, and I told her what was going on, and she goes, who's going to carry the end of life? And I said, this other gal. And she said, because you could have made a better choice.
Oh.
And I said, what? Hold on here. Am I talking to the right person?
Yeah.
You hated her. She goes, I hated her because she had you and I didn't. She said, but in this case, you couldn't have picked a better person. I said, wow, you must be ill, but okay, well, I'm go with it because you're calm. And I like calm when it comes from her.
No, she's no matter what.
Yeah. She's the one that
positivity and something.
Yeah, she's the one that's crazy. She's the one that would crazy glue you in the middle of the night. I don't want that. No. So anyway, yeah. So she did the paperwork on it, and we sent it over to the other person. And I'm not using their names just because sometimes.
Of course not. No.
Yeah. And nor would I. I never would, because I don't want to expose them on anything. And
no. Of course not.
Yep. But yeah, everything's in place for that. It's just been one of those things. I actually got on that one app that we're on and deleted the rest of them. I got on there on September 9th. And because I was in New York for the 20th anniversary for 9/11. And I was the only one from our team that was there. Of course, the majority of them are dead. So I think a couple of them were there in spirit, but the other two didn't want to go, and I understood, but I went. And so the 9th was the day I got there, and I was sitting late at night in my hotel room, and I was playing around on, I don't know, some other app or something. Anyway, a friend of mine called me, and she said, hey, you know what? There's this other social media app that you might be exactly what you're looking for. It's a little more personal, and it's a little more. And I said, okay. So anyway, I got on there, and the two people that were doing a live interview there, or live, whatever you want to call it, that day were two people I still talk to. And in fact, I talked to them this morning. And on top of, I can't tell you how many other people that I've met that are, it's just amazing who they are. Of course, you're going to mix good with bad, but I've had more good than I've had bad. And that in itself is hard to believe, because my two caretakers both came from that app.
And what's interesting about it is there is more good than bad. That's for sure. And you can kind of discern pretty quickly which you're going to
who's going to be what
and what situation it's going to be in. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So there's been situations where I've had to dip out because I'm like,
me
well,
too.
this isn't going right for
And
other people, and so I don't need to listen to them argue.
exactly. Well, you know, and I had some people that were a little offended by something I did at one point. And I went face to face with them. And I said, let me tell you what. I said, I literally, 100% literally do not have time for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And left it at that. They couldn't figure it out from there, then, you know, it's on you.
Well,
Right?
it's also you're talking to your computer, so like, who gives a shit what's
Well,
happening?
yeah, that's it. That's it. And um, my two caregivers, I actually talk to frequently, like we are talking right now.
Hmm.
Uh, so I know who they are.
Yeah.
Um, and I haven't been able to. I'm going to get on the road next week, and I'm going to do some traveling. I'm going to go put myself in front of all these folks that I want to meet.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I think I heard about that. You guys are all going to meet somewhere, and I think that's
Yeah. Well, all the Canadians want me to come to Canada.
Canada. I don't think I can spell that.
Anyway, there's a bunch of them, and you've been in there, so you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
Well, anyway,
Yes.
they all want me to go there, and they were all. Here's the funny part: all of them are going to put their life on hold, and so we could all meet in a certain spot.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that in itself, I was just like, wow, you know, you're just going to put your life on hold just so you can spend a couple of days with us.
Yeah, that's cool, and it's good that you're able to do that, and you know your thought process is, I'm moving in this direction. Let's just keep going.
I got a short period of time to do a whole lot of stuff.
One foot in front of the other, and just
that's it, man.
just
Day to day,
keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm extremely blessed that when somebody tells me they're sorry about what's going on, I go, don't be. My bucket list is complete. I was so fortunate to retire so young that my bucket list is complete. I've done everything I wanted to do as a bucket list goes. I said, my bucket list is actually, there's some new things on my bucket list, and it's meeting people and doing some things that I still want to do that have come up since then, since diagnosis. Yeah. I said, just don't say you're sorry. Just pray that I get enough time to be able to get it all done.
Well, my prayers are with you 100%.
Yeah. In the last week or so.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my gosh. Well, the last week or so, I've had some pretty good health issues. Then they've come up. In fact, one of them came up this morning, and the surgeon I'm talking about actually is coming in town tonight because she wants to do a personal assessment for herself to see if she wants to see what I got going on right now. Is it just happened, or if it's an underlying? Okay. And, you know, I was like, no, don't do that. No. You know what that is? That's just me going, I really don't want to know.
Right.
I was never a doctor person in the first place. I mean, I'd have to completely have a limb removed before I'd go to a doctor, because just about most of the guys I worked with could put it back on. Yeah. So I'd rather have them put it back on than go to a doctor. So for her coming in to do this, I mean, it just tells you what kind of a person she is in the first place.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like sometimes when they're doing that, I didn't ask her to do it. She just said she was going to do it. And I almost feel like, well, don't do that, man. You're putting your life on hold for me. And I said that to her, and she goes, no. She goes, I'm doing this for me. And I thought, well, I don't understand that, but okay, cool. And then once I thought about it, I was like, oh, wow.
That's when it hits you in the heart.
Yeah. You know, and there's been some things that have happened, and you know, little stuff. Here's the funny thing is little stuff, especially with this app. I've had people that I'd never talked to before. I'd talked to maybe in radios, or I'd seen them on lives or something like that, but I never had any personal interaction with them, that have left DMs that just said, you know what, I was thinking about you the other day and I just wanted to say hi. Well, there is a profoundness.
That's so valuable. Like if
somebody
just calls to say, I love you.
Out of the blue. I was just thinking about you.
I love you. And I just want to let you know. And you don't have to pick up or call me back.
Don't answer me or nothing.
Let you know. Yeah.
And it's so profound because and just little gestures people have made and stuff like that. You know, I tell them all too. I said, it means nothing to you, but it means the world to me.
The world, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let you know you're on my mind.
Out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ones you want to have in your corner, because those are the ones they're not selfish.
Right.
Because they weren't thinking about themselves when you popped into their head for some reason.
Exactly. And they actually say that a lot. Just if you're thinking about somebody, let them know.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's why I always respond to it too.
Mm-hmm.
Say, you know what you did, might not mean a lot to you, but man, it means the world to me. And I thank you.
Again, I'm so glad that you were able to do this with me, and I really appreciate it. And this is something that you'll be able to have forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing your story.
I appreciate it, man. I wish I knew how the story was going to end.
There's a lot.
Yep.
You're doing great. And you're involved.
Yeah, very.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the thing is the people that know me know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Because they see it.
Well, now they really do.
And the people that don't know me don't have any idea.
Yeah.
Because I don't portray it. I don't want to look like I'm, I don't want to look like I'm dying, let alone.
You don't.
No, but the people close to me go, yep, there's things going on that are.
You have this. You always have this.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you so much for coming on. And if this is what we're going for, we nailed it.
Man, brother, I appreciate it. Sorry for the little interruptions I had. Sometimes people you don't want in your life are constantly trying to get in your life.
That's no big deal at all.
I have time slots for them. Apparently they didn't see the memo.
Yeah. I'm busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. Really busy at this point. You don't understand how busy. You just made me put my hand in front of the screen, you idiot. I'm going to call him now and tell him, hey, you moron.
Well, you and I will talk right after this.
Peter, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your forum, man. Thank you for giving me a platform to share my story. And
of course, yes. It's going to be.
It's hard to do. It's hard to get it all out there sometimes. And
it's going to be on the interwebs, as they call it.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those things I want for my daughter in the end.
What's that? Yes,
this is one of the things I want to have my daughter to have. So,
well, is there anything else you want to say or talk about?
No, I think I've got a couple of videos I'm releasing here pretty soon.
Okay.
They're going to explain it. They're going to explain things to her. I've done a lot of talking with her lately, and she's actually staying with me full time now. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're getting.
That's really good.
Yeah, we're getting the time in that we've always had a lot of time together, but we're getting the time in now that's really critical right now. So. Yeah. And we're doing it. She loves going shopping with me these days because every time I take her shopping, it's a $10,000 bill.
Yeah.
Just because I can. Just because I can.
That made me cough.
But it's the funny thing is, it's none of it's been stuff. The stuff that she's wanted to spend money on was stuff that was me and her. Oh,
that's nice.
So I'm almost comfortable. I'm not comfortable. Well, Jesus. I'm almost, no, there's not a better word. I'm going to say it anyway, but this isn't really what I mean. I'm almost comfortable with the fact I'm leaving her, but I'm not. Comfortable is not the right way to put it. I feel like she's going to be okay. Yep.
I'm praying for you, and you're in my thoughts. And obviously, you and I talk. So,
yep.
Yeah,
and I hope we talk more.
Well, yeah, we'll keep up.
Yep.
100%. And thank you for doing this again.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All right, bud.
I'm going to call you right away.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.